Members of the International Space Station ISS Expedition 5354, U.S. astronauts Joseph Akabael, Mark Van Hayar and Russia's cosmonaut Alexander Misirkin attend a sending-off ceremony in the Russian-laced Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Kirill Kudaryovtsev, a resident, pushes his cart as he wades a flooded main street in Manila after a tropical depression locally named Mering hit the eastern town of Mauban before moving northwest across the main island of Luzon and passing just beside Manila. Ted Algae Beef BJT images. Soldiers in Japan's self-defense force prepare for a ceremony for Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at the Defense Ministry in Tokyo. Reuters, a truck of a courier overturned by the storm in Livorno, Italy. The storm has claimed 6 victims with 6 others missing. Over 200 millimeters of rain has fallen, causing landslides, mudslides and the flooding of various rivers. Getty Images. The picture, released from North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency KCNA, shows North Korean residents offering flowers before the statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on Mansu Hill in Pyongyang during celebrations of the 69th anniversary of North Korea's National Day. Of BJT Images. People gather on a street after an earthquake in Mexico City. Reuters. Claudia. Rohingya refugee children sit in a hut next to the shore after crossing the Bangladesh-Myanmar border by boat through the Bay of Bengal in Teknaf, Bangladesh. Reuters. Danish Siddiqui police patrol the area as Hurricane Irma slams into San Juan, Puerto Rico. Reuters. Alvin Baez, a masked witness, points to the police officers suspected of killing 17-year-old Kiandilo Santos as she testifies during a Senate hearing in Pasay, Metro Manila, Philippines. Reuters. Dondi Tawel, Brazil's President Michel Temer, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping, South Africa's President Jacob Zuma and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi pose for a group photo during the BRICS summit at the Xiamen International Conference and Exhibition Center in the Fujian province. Reuters. Genzaburo Fukuhara. This undated picture, released by North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency KCNA, shows North Korean leader Kim Jong-un looking at a metal casing with 2 bulges at an undisclosed location. North Korea has developed a hydrogen bomb which can be loaded into the country's new intercontinental ballistic missile, the official Korean Central News Agency claimed on the 3rd of September. Questions remain over whether nuclear-armed Pyongyang has successfully miniaturized its weapons, and whether it has a working H-bomb, but KCNA said that leader Kim Jong-un had inspected such a device at the Nuclear Weapons Institute. Reuters. A girl looks on as Muslims offer prayers during the Eid al-Adha festival in Agartala. Reuters. A cyclist looks at a truck flipped into floodwater in Port Arthur, Texas. AFP. People attend prayers for the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha at Istiqlal Mosque in Jakarta, Indonesia. Antara photo. Rosa Pangabin. Reuters. U.S. Marine Corps F-35B fighter jets front South Korean Air Force's F-15K fly over South Korea during a joint military drill. Republic of Korea Air Force on Hapia. Reuters. Pope Francis is greeted by pilgrims as he arrives to lead his Wednesday general audience in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican. Reuters. Tony Gentile. Retiring paramilitary policemen prepare for a group photo before retirement in Nanjing, Jiangsu Province, China. Reuters. Stringer. The sun sets on the playa as approximately 70,000 people from all over the world gathered for the annual Burning Man Arts and Music Festival in the Black Rock Desert of Nevada. Reuters. Jim Urquhart, a member of Border Guard Bangladesh BGB, tells a Rohingya girl not to come on Bangladesh side. Thousands of people have fled their homes following 2 days of violence and a deepening crisis in the state of Rakhine in Myanmar. Members of the Muslim Rohingya minority escaped to the border with Bangladesh, but Bangladeshi border guards are turning them back. Reuters. 100 newlyweds wearing Han Dynasty-style outfits attend a group wedding in Pingdingshan, Henan Province of China. Getty. Protesters block rail tracks during a demonstration of End Gelände activists against the open-cast Garsweiler brown coal mining near Vinicum, Germany. Reuters. Italian police use a water cannon as they clash with refugee squatters who had occupied a small square in central Rome. Reuters. Nardi. Thailand's Patsipong Amsamang competes in the men's pole vault athletics final of the 29th Southeast Asian Games SEA Games at the Bukit Jalil National Stadium in Kuala Lumpur. Manan Vatsianamananap. A child reacts after a big wave on a waterfront as Typhoon Hado hits Hong Kong. Reuters. Tyrone 2 soldiers march during a changing of the guard at the Mamayev Kurgan World War II Memorial Complex and Mother Homeland statue back in Volgograd, Russia. Mladen Antonova. FP. Italian emergency workers rescue a baby sea after an earthquake hit the popular Italian tourist island of Ischia, off the coast of Naples, causing several buildings to collapse overnight. A magnitude 4.0 earthquake struck the Italian holiday island of Ischia, causing destruction that left 2 people dead at peak tourist season, authorities said, as rescue workers struggled to free 2 children from the rubble. AFP Maro Pagnano. Damage to the port side is visible as the guided missile destroyer USS John S. McCain DDG-56 steers towards Changi Naval Base in Singapore following a collision with the merchant vessel Al Nikmak. The USS John S. McCain was docked at Singapore's naval base with significant damage to its hull after an early morning collision with the Al Nikmak as vessels from several nations searched Monday for missing U.S. sailors. Getty Images. A protester covers her eyes with a China flag to imply goddess of justice during the rally supporting young activists Joshua Wong, Nathan Law and Alex Chow in Central in Hong Kong. Pro-democracy activists Joshua Wong, Nathan Law and Alex Chow were jailed last week after being convicted of unlawful assembly. Getty Images. An extreme cycling enthusiast performs a stunt with a bicycle before falling into the East Lake in Wuhan, Hubei Province, China. This activity, which requires participants to ride their bikes and jump into the lake, attracts many extreme cycling enthusiasts from the city. Getty Images. People gather around tributes late on Los Rambles near to the scene of yesterday's terrorist attack in Barcelona, Spain. 14 people were killed and dozens injured when a van hit crowds in the Los Rambles area of Barcelona on Thursday. Spanish police have also killed 5 suspected terrorists in the town of Cambrils to stop a second terrorist attack. Getty participants take part in Panjat Penang, a pole climbing contest, as part of festivities marking Indonesia's 72nd Independence Day on Encol Beach in Jakarta. Panjat Penang, a tradition dating back to the Dutch colonial days, is one of the most popular traditions for celebrating Indonesia's Independence Day. Getty Images. Demonstrators participate in a march and rally against white supremacy in downtown Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Demonstrations are being held following clashes between white supremacists and counter-protesters in Charlottesville, Virginia over the weekend. Heather Heyer, 32, was killed in Charlottesville when a car allegedly driven by James Alex Fields Jr. barreled into a crowd of counter-protesters following violence at the Unite the Right rally. Getty. South Korea. Protesters hold placards with an illustration of U.S. President Donald Trump during a 72nd Liberation Day rally in Seoul, South Korea. Korea was liberated from Japan's 35-year colonial rule on August 15, 1945 at the end of World War II. Getty. The Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus railway station is lit in the colors of India's flag ahead of the country's Independence Day in Mumbai. Indian Independence Day is celebrated annually on the 15th of August, and this year marks 70 years since British India split into 2 nations, Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan, and millions were uprooted in one of the largest mass migrations in history. A demonstrator holds up a picture of Heather Heyer during a demonstration in front of City Hall for victims of the Charlottesville, Virginia tragedy, and against racism in Los Angeles, California, USA. Rallies have been planned across the United States to demonstrate opposition to the violence in Charlottesville. EPA. Jessica Minkar embraces Nicole Jones-L during a vigil for those who were killed and injured when a car plowed into a crowd of anti-fascist counter-demonstrators marching near a downtown shopping area, Charlottesville, Virginia. Getty. White nationalists, neo-Nazis and members of the alt-right clash with counter-protesters as they enter Lee Park during the Unite the Right in Charlottesville, Virginia. After clashes with anti-fascist protesters and police, the rally was declared an unlawful gathering and people were forced out of Lee Park. Getty. A North Korean flag is seen on top of a tower at the propaganda village of Gyeongdong in North Korea, as a South Korean flag flutters in the wind in this picture taken near the border area near the demilitarized zone separating the 2 Koreas in Paju, South Korea. Reuters. A firefighter extinguishes flames as a fire engulfs an informal settlers area beside a river in Manila. AFP. A rally in support of North Korea's stance against the U.S. on Kim Il-sung Square in Pyongyang. AFP. Rocks from the collapsed wall of a hotel building cover a car after an earthquake outside Jusaegao, Sichuan Province. Reuters. People in Seoul, South Korea walk by a local news program with an image of U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday, the 9th of August. North Korea and the United States traded escalating threats, with Mr. Trump threatening Pyongyang with fire and fury like the world has never seen. A Maasai woman waits in line to vote in Lele, 130 kilometers 80 miles south of Nairobi, Kenya. Kenyans are going to the polls today to vote in a general election after a tightly fought presidential race between incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta and main opposition leader Raila Odinga. AP pro-government supporters march in Caracas, Venezuela on the 7th of August. Reuters. Children pray after releasing paper lanterns on the Motoyasu River, facing the atomic bomb dome in remembrance of atomic bomb victims on the 72nd anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima, Western Japan. Reuters. Russian President Vladimir Putin, accompanied by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, gestures as he fishes in the remote Tuva region in southern Siberia. FPGT images. A family claiming to be from Haiti dragged their luggage over the US-Canada border into Canada from Champlain, New York, U.S. August 3, 2017. Reuters. A disabled man prepares to cast his vote at a polling station in Kigali, Rwanda, August 4, 2017. Reuters. Attention editors. People carry the body of Yawar Nisser, a suspected militant, who according to local media was killed during a gun battle with Indian security forces at Harpura village, during his funeral in South Kashmir's Anantnag district, August 4, 2017. Reuters. A general view shows a flooded area in Sakan Nakhon province, Thailand, August 4, 2017. Reuters. A plane landed in São João Beach, killing 2 people, in Costa da Caparica, Portugal. August 2, 2017. Reuters. Hermitage Capital CEO William Browder waits to testify before a continuation of Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election on Capitol Hill in Washington, U.S., July 27, 2017. Reuters. Top shot mototaxi driver hold flags of the governing Rwanda Patriotic Fronts at the beginning of a parade in Kigali, on August 2, 2017. Incumbent Rwandan President Paul Kagame will close his electoral campaigning ahead of the August 4th presidential elections, which he is widely expected to win, giving him a third term in office. AFP. Top shot migrants wait to be rescued by the Aquarius rescue ship run by non-governmental organizations NGOs. Mediterranean Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders in the Mediterranean Sea, 30 nautical miles from the Libyan coast, on August 2, 2017. AFP. 2 children hold a placard picturing a plane as they take part in a demonstration in central Athens outside the German embassy with others refugees and migrants to protest against the limitation of reunification of families in Germany, on August 2, 2017. AFP. Flames erupt as clashes break out while the Constituent Assembly election is being carried out in Caracas, Venezuela, July 30, 2017. Reuters. Carlos Garcia Rollins. Reuters. People in the village of Gibarpora carry the remains of Akil Ahmad Butt, a civilian who according to local media died following clashes after 2 militants were killed in an encounter with Indian security forces in Hakrapura in South Kashmir's Pulwama district, August 2, 2017. Reuters. Danish Ismail. Reuters. Incumbent Rwandan President Paul Kagame gestures as he arrives for the closing rally of the presidential campaign in Kigali, on August 2, 2017, while supporters greet him. Rwandans go to the polls on August 4, 2017 in a presidential election in which strongman Paul Kagame is widely expected to cruise to a third term in office. AFP. Soldiers of China's People's Liberation Army PLA get ready for the military parade to commemorate the 90th anniversary of the foundation of the army at Zuri military training base in Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, China. Reuters. Cyclists at the start of the first stage of the Tour de Pologne cycling race, over 130 kilometers from Krakow's main market square, Poland. EPA. Israeli border guards keep watch as Palestinian Muslim worshippers pray outside Jerusalem's Old City overlooking the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Ahmad Garabal, a supporter of Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, passes out after the Supreme Court's decision to disqualify Sharif in Lahore. Reuters. Mohsin Raza. Australian police officers participate in a training scenario called an Armed Defender emergency exercise held at an international passenger terminal located on Sydney Harbour. Reuters. David Gray. North Korean soldiers watch the south side as the United Nations command officials visit after a commemorative ceremony for the 64th anniversary of the Korean armistice at the truce village of Panmunjom in the demilitarized zone DMZ dividing the 2 Koreas. Reuters. Jung Yeonye. Bangladeshi commuters use a rickshaw to cross a flooded street amid heavy rainfall in Dhaka. Bangladesh is experiencing downpours following a depression forming in the Bay of Bengal. Munir uses Aman up the Soyuz MS-05 spacecraft for the next International Space Station ISS crew of Paolo Nespoli of Italy, Sergei Ryazansky of Russia, and Randy Bresnik of the U.S., is transported from an assembling hangar to the launch pad ahead of its upcoming launch, at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Baikonur, Kazakhstan. Reuters. Shamil Zumurtov. A protester shouts at U.S. President Donald Trump as he is removed from his rally with supporters in an arena in Youngstown, Ohio. Reuters. Indian supporters of Gorkha land chant slogans tied with chains lines during a protest march in capital New Delhi. Eastern India's hill resort of Darjeeling has been rattled at the height of tourist season after violent clashes broke out between police and hundreds of protesters of the Gorkha Jan Mukti Morcha (GJM), a long-simmering separatist movement that has long called for a separate state for ethnic Gorkhas in West Bengal. The GJM wants a new, separate state of Gorkhaland carved out of eastern West Bengal state, of which Darjeeling is a part. Sajjad Hussain FBJT images demonstrators clash with riot security forces while rallying against Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro's government in Caracas, Venezuela. The banner on the bridge reads, "It will be worth it." Reuters. The Hethkot River as it rises to high levels in Christchurch, New Zealand. Heavy rain across the South Island in the last 24 hours has caused widespread damage and flooding, with Dunedin, Waitaki, Timaru and the wider Otago region declaring a state of emergency. Getty Images. A mourner prays at a memorial during an event to commemorate the first anniversary of the shooting spree that 1 year ago left 10 people dead, including the shooter in Munich, Germany. 1 year ago, 18-year-old student David S. shot 9 people dead and injured 4 others at near a McDonald's restaurant in the Olympia Einkaufszentrum shopping center. After a citywide manhunt that caused mass panic and injuries, David S. shot himself in a park. According to police, David S., who had dual German and Iranian citizenship, had a history of mental troubles. Getty. Palestinians react following tear gas that was shot by Israeli forces after Friday prayer on a street outside Jerusalem's Old City. Reuters. Amar Awad ousted former Thai Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra greets supporters as she arrives at the Supreme Court in Bangkok, Thailand. Reuters. Ithit Parawang Methamarik Suski of Law and Justice PSC party scuffles with Miroslav Suchin, second L of Modern Party. Now Ochesna is Michal Sherba of Civic Platform POL party holds up a copy of the Polish constitution during the Parliamentary Commission on Justice and Human Rights voting on the opposition's amendments to the bill that calls for an overhaul of the Supreme Court in Warsaw. Reuters. A firefighter stands near a grass fire as he prepares to defend a home from the Detweiler fire in Mariposa, California. Reuters. Michael Lindell, CEO of MyPillow, reacts as U.S. President Donald Trump attends a Made in America roundtable meeting in the East Room of the White House. Reuters. Giant pandas lie beside ice blocks at Yangjiaping Zoo in Changqing, China. Yangjiaping Zoo provided huge ice blocks for giant pandas to help them remove summer heat. Getty Images. People ride camels in the desert in Dunhuang, China, as stage 10 of the Silkway Rally continues. FBJT Images. 17th FINA World Aquatics Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Team North Korea practice under coach supervision. Reuters. IAAF World Para-Athletics Championships, London, Britain, July 17, 2017. Reuters. Shinri Brown workers check power lines during maintenance work in Lyon, in China's eastern Anhui province. Of BJT Images. Russia. Kamish driver Dmitry Sotnikov, co-drivers Ruslan Akhmedov and Ilner Mustafin compete during the Stage 9 of the Silkway 2017 between Urumqi and Hami, China. Frank Fifi. BJT Images. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull talks with Special Operations Command soldiers during a visit to the Australian Army's Holsworthy Barracks in Western Sydney. Brendan Esposito. Via Reuters. Men in traditional sailor costumes celebrate after carrying a statue of the El Carmen Virgin, who is worshipped as the patron saint of sailors, into the Mediterranean Sea during a procession in Torremolinos, near Malaga, Spain. Reuters. John Nazca. People participate in a protest in front of the same building, the lower house of the Polish Parliament in Warsaw, Poland. The demonstration was organized by Committee for the Defense of Democracy (KOD). Members and supporters of the KOD and opposition parties protested against changes in the judicial law and the Supreme Court. EPA. People prepare to swim, with a portrait of late Chinese Chairman Mao Zedong on the bank of the Yangtze River in Yichang, Hubei Province, China, to celebrate the 51st anniversary of Chairman Mao swimming in the Yangtze River. Reuters. A woman takes a selfie picture with her mobile phone next to the statue of Ömer Halis in Istanbul, in front of a memorial with the names of people killed last year during the failed coup attempt. FBJT Images. French President Emmanuel Macron gestures next to U.S. President Donald Trump during the annual Bastille Day military parade on the Champs-Élysées Avenue in Paris. FBJT Images. Philippine National Police Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa holds an M60 machine gun during a gun and ammunition show at a mall in Mandaluyong City, Metro Manila, Philippines. Reuters. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko and European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker embrace before the Ukraine summit in Kiev, Ukraine. Reuters. U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump disembark from Air Force One upon arrival at Paris-Orly Airport on July 13, 2017, beginning a 24-hour trip that coincides with with France's National Day and the 100th anniversary of U.S. involvement in World War I. Solo FPGT images. Iraqis walk on a damaged street in West Mosul a few days after the government's announcement of the liberation of the embattled city from Islamic State as group fighters. Getty. Iraqi boys wash a vehicle in West Mosul a few days after the government's announcement of the liberation of the embattled city from Islamic State as group fighters. Fadl sent off FPGT images. Afghan policemen pour fuel over jerry cans containing confiscated acetic acid before setting it alight on the outskirts of Herat. Some 15,000 liters of acetic acid, often mixed with heroin, were destroyed by counter-narcotics police. Hoshang Hashimi. Police from the anti-terror squad participate in an anti-terror performance among Assamese dancers during a ceremony to commemorate the 71st anniversary of the Indonesian Police Corps in Banda Aceh. FPGT images. Residents stand amid the debris of their homes which were torn down in the evicted area of the Bukit Duri neighborhood located on the Siliwangi River banks in Jakarta Bay. Ismoil. Boys play cricket at a parking lot as it rains in Chandigarh, India. Reuters. Ajay Verma. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan speaks at the 22nd World Petroleum Congress (WPC) in Istanbul. AFP. New Mongolia's President Khaltma Batulga takes an oath during his inauguration ceremony in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Reuters. U.S. Army 1st Division, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy and U.S. Marines marched down the Champs-Élysées, with the Arc de Triomphe in the background, in Paris during a rehearsal of the annual Bastille Day military parade. AFP. Participants ran ahead of Puerto de San Lorenzo's Fighting Bulls during the third bull run of the San Fermin festival in Pamplona, northern Spain. Each day at 800 am, hundreds of people race with 6 bulls, charging along a winding, 848.6 meters more than half-a-mile course through narrow streets to the city's bull ring, where the animals are killed in a bullfight or corrida. During this festival, immortalized in Ernest Hemingway's 1926 novel The Sun Also Rises and dating back to medieval times, and also featuring religious processions, folk dancing, concerts and round-the-clock drinking. FPGT images. Iraqi women, who fled the fighting between government forces and Islamic State as group jihadists in the old city of Mosul, cry as they stand in the city's western industrial district awaiting to be relocated. AFP. U.S. President Donald Trump arrives for another working session during the G20 summit in Hamburg, northern Germany. FPGT images. People climb up on a roof to get a view during riots in Hamburg, northern Germany, where leaders of the world's top economies gather for a G20 summit. FPGT images. Anti-capitalism activists protest in Hamburg, where leaders of the world's top economies will gather for a G20 summit. FPGT. Military helicopter rescues people trapped on the roof of the Ministry of Finance by an intense fire in San Salvador. FPGT images. Donald Trump arrives to deliver a speech at Krasinski Square in Warsaw, Poland. APA. Firefighter conducts rescue operations in an area damaged by heavy rain in Asakura, Japan. Reuters. Crowds gather for the start of the San Fermin festival in Pamplona, Spain. AFP. A member of the Iraqi security forces runs with his weapon during a fight between Iraqi forces and Islamic State militants in the old city of Mosul, Iraq. A U.S. MGM-140 Army tactical missile is fired during the combined military exercise between the U.S. and South Korea against North Korea at an undisclosed location in South Korea. AP. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un looks on during the test fire of intercontinental ballistic missile Hwasong-14. Reuters. Russian President Vladimir Putin shakes hands with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping during a signing ceremony following the talks at the Kremlin. Reuters. Belarusian servicemen march during a military parade as part of celebrations marking the Independence Day in Minsk, Belarus. Reuters. Ambulance cars and fire engines are seen near the site where a coach burst into flames after colliding with a lorry on a motorway near Münchberg, Germany. Reuters. An aerial view shows women swimming in the Yenisei River on a hot summer day, with the air temperature at about 32 degrees Celsius (89.6 degrees Fahrenheit), outside Krasnoyarsk, Siberia, Russia, June 28, 2017. Reuters. Protesters demonstrating against the upcoming G20 economic summit ride boats on Inner Ulster Lake during a protest march in Hamburg, Germany. Hamburg will host the upcoming G20 summit and is expecting heavy protests throughout. Getty Images. Investigators work at the scene of a car bomb explosion which killed Maxim Shapoval, a high-ranking official involved in military intelligence, in Kiev, Ukraine, June 27, 2017. Reuters. Protesters carry a large image of jailed Chinese Nobel Peace Laureate Liu Xiaobo as they march during the annual pro-democracy protest in Hong Kong. Thousands joined an annual protest march in Hong Kong, hours after Chinese President Xi Jinping wrapped up his visit to the city by warning against challenges to Beijing's sovereignty. AP jockey Andrea Koch of Selva Forest Parish rides his horse during the first practice for the Palio horse race in Siena, Italy, June 30, 2017. Reuters. A man takes pictures with a phone with a Union flag casing after Chinese President Xi Jinping not pictured inspected troops at the People's Liberation Army PLA Hong Kong garrison as part of events marking the 20th anniversary of the city's handover from British to Chinese rule in Hong Kong, China, June 30, 2017. Reuters. A protester against U.S. President Donald Trump's limited travel ban, approved by the U.S. Supreme Court, holds a sign next to protesters supporting the ban, in New York City, U.S., June 29, 2017. Reuters. Israeli Air Force F-Rani T-6 Texan II planes perform at an air show during the graduation of new cadet pilots at Hatzerim Base in the Negev Desert, near the southern Israeli city of Beersheba. FBJT images. A woman gestures next to people spraying insecticide on a vehicle during a mosquito control operation led by Ivory Coast's National Public and Health Institute in Bingerville, near Abidjan, where several cases of dengue fever were reported. FBJT images. A Libyan Coast Guardsman watches over as illegal immigrants arrive to land in a dinghy during the rescue of 147 people who attempted to reach Europe off the coastal town of Zawiya, 45 kilometers west of the capital Tripoli, on June 27, 2017. More than 8,000 migrants have been rescued in waters off Libya during the past 48 hours in difficult weather conditions, Italy's Coast Guard said on June 27, 2017. FBJT images. A man leaves after voting in the Mongolian presidential election at the Erden-Sum Gerurt polling station in Tool Valley. Mongolians cast ballots on June 26 to choose between a horse breeder, a judoka and a feng shui master in a presidential election rife with corruption scandals and nationalist rhetoric. FBJT images. People attend Eid al-Fitr prayers to mark the end of the holy fasting month of Ramadan at a playground in the suburb of Sale, Morocco. Reuters. A plainclothes police officer kicks a member of a group of LGBT rights activists as Turkish police prevent them from going ahead with a gay pride annual parade on the 25th of June 2017 in Istanbul, a day after it was banned by the city governor's office. FBJT images. Pakistan Army soldiers stands guard while rescue workers examine the site of an oil tanker explosion at a highway near Bahawalpur, Pakistan. An overturned oil tanker burst into flames in Pakistan on Sunday, killing more than 100 people who had rushed to the scene of the highway accident to gather leaking fuel, an official said. AP rescue workers searched for survivors at the site of a landslide that occurred in Xinmo village, Mao County, Sichuan Province, China. Reuters. Student activists shout anti-martial law slogans during a protest in Manila on June 23, 2017. FBJT images. A diver performs from the Pont Alexandre III bridge into the River Seine in Paris, France, June 23, 2017, as Paris transforms into a giant Olympic park to celebrate International Olympic Days with a variety of sporting events for the public across the city during 2 days as the city bids to host the 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Reuters. Debris and smoke are seen after an OV-10 Bronco aircraft released a bomb during an airstrike, as government troops continue their assault against insurgents from the Maut Group, who have taken over parts of Marawi City, Philippines. June 23, 2017. Reuters.